Hello everyone, welcome to our free training series on ManageEngine's Applications Manager. Getting into today's topic, which is cloud infrastructure monitoring that is available in Applications Manager, for which we will be seeing on how App Manager renders optimal monitoring solution for leading cloud services like Amazon and and Microsoft Azure. And also we'll observe the key metrics of Kubernetes monitoring along with the tracking the performance container infrastructure. And we'll have a deep down view of proactive Microsoft team monitoring. Along with that, we'll also be looking on how we can observe and utilize the cloud resources wisely. As we are aware, the prevailing pandemic has forced many organizations to rebuild a sustainable business infrastructure where cloud comes handy, and it has several public, private, and hybrid cloud solution which is offered by various cloud vendors, and this is very much helpful in building a reliable infrastructure which can cope up with fluctuating business demands. According to Gartner research, it is expected that the cloud services will highly grow, making a solid exceptional growth in the cloud computing. And now let's have a quick view on its boons. Adopting the cloud infrastructure will highly increase the flexibility, optimize the performance, avoids vendor lock-in, minimizes the cost expenses. And the key factor is that the multiple cloud boosts in efficient workload, promotes the disaster recovery and easy migration. Also, it provides the choice of opting better cloud solution based on the end user requirement. In spite of having enormous features, there are quite a few challenges to be faced when you're using the cloud computing, like the server crashes due to excessive data loads, or for basic user level satisfaction, availability is very important. And if there's any downtime or slowness, it can be a major setback. Likewise, without any proper configuration dependency, if there's any issue, it's very hard to troubleshoot. And all this process will highly demand more time along with the human effort to track the same. If Applications Manager comes into the picture, now you'll be able to track the cloud services simply by accessing the App Manager web console, then check the monitor status, and if there's any deviation in the instance, an automated out-of-box notification will reach on time. And based on the pre-configured threshold and actions, once the notification is received, the root cause can be easily drilled down, and also you can take corrective measures right away. Currently, we support the famous cloud apps like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Kubernetes, Docker, OpenStack, and OpenShift. Heading into our first topic, now we'll be looking on how ManageEngine Applications Manager provides the better monitoring solution for AWS and Microsoft Azure. Amazon Web Services is a widely used secure cloud services platform that offers various functionalities for diverse business needs. App Manager renders proactive monitoring of AWS with its deep visibility into resource utilization and application performance. Applications Manager uses service APIs to collect the metrics from the respective AWS as shown, and also it uses CloudWatch to collect the performance metrics. So with our tool, you can have all the visibility for your compute, container, database, load balancing, and much more in a single plane. And not just that, the billing for the service used in the added Amazon account can be tracked along with the Amazon Web Service monitoring. We have a distinct feature for AWS data collection settings, where by modifying this details, it will be directly reflecting to your pre-existing monitors and also will be added for your future added monitors. And let's say for EC2 instances, you can choose the unique identifier based on your instance ID or your tag name. And also you can get notifications like if there's any EC2 instances or Lambda functions has been removed or terminated. And likewise, you can even get to know if there's any other details that has been run. And the last option that we have is like you can make use of, by modifying that, you can choose on which to be opted. Like let's say if you're using the delete option, the existing child monitors will be deleted in the AWS services. And likewise, if you're using the stop discovery, it is used to terminate the child monitor discovery for the removed AWS. And basically the default option that we have is stop discovery. And let me just quickly show you the Amazon monitor in the UI. Switching back to the UI. So this is our demo page. Even you can try accessing it by accessing as a admin. This is our applications manager UI looks like. So before I show you the monitor, let me just quickly show you how we can add a new monitor. So you have to click on to new monitor, add new monitor. And here under each categories, you will be able to see the monitor, different type of monitors. Under cloud app, just click on to Amazon. And here you will be having all the basic details to be filled, and make sure that all the prerequisites for the AWS monitor has been completed. Once that is done, you can provide all the basic details like display name, and whatever services needs to be monitored, you can provide those details over here, and followed by the main details like access key ID, secret access key, and which kind of an account it is, and all the polling interval details can be provided. So once all these details are provided, you will be ready to add the monitor. But since to show you the data collection, I'll be switching to one of the added monitor. So how we've seen for the new monitor, likewise under the monitor, you'll be able to see the details under cloud apps. This is how our Amazon monitor looks like. And here you'll be able to see all quick view of your health and availability as well. So, and under the overview page, you will be able to give all the glimpse of your resource utilization with the basic details like regarding to the service that has been added. And not just that, you can also fetch the historical report for it, which will be easy for you to know quickly. And the main one, that is compute tab. Here you will be having a granular view of your basic details regarding to your EC2 instances, Lambda, and as well for your EBS. So Applications Manager AWS Monitor automatically discovers the Amazon EC2 instances and EBS volume attached to this instances, and monitors wide set of performance metric which is related to CPU, network, traffic, and much more. Whereas the Lambda is a serverless event-driven source, and we will be constantly monitoring the key metrics of Lambda like invocations and concurrent execution error. So by monitoring all those details, the manual intervention can be reduced, and also this will be letting you to do all the corrective actions automatically. The Elastic Beanstalk service focuses on deploying and scaling application, and by using our product, it will be easy for us to track those deploying and the scaling application that we manages in around the AWS account. So the next one is container. So Elastic Container Cluster Services, here it mainly consists of service and instances. And with the Amazon ECS Monitor, the cluster details along with Docker instances and cloud, all this will be letting you to know the exact stats of your task and services that is present. And when it comes to the ECS instance, knowing your resource reservation and utilization is very much important. So that will be pretty much easy here. So let me just quickly show you one of the cluster monitor. So this is a ECS monitor. Here you can see all the basic overview information. And at the cluster performances, you will be able to see all the vital metrics regarding to the CPU, memory, and also regarding to your task related, all those details will be mentioned. And the next one comes the task. Here you will be able to know all the tasks that's been present in your ECS, and you can see all the task status, connectivity, memory configured, and not just that, all the unique ID information and what is the exact status of that particular task, and all those details can be effectively tracked over here. The service here, the performance of the services can be easily optimized by tracking all the service, where you will be getting to know what kind of a health it is, whether if it is an active state, inactive, draining. So you'll get to know your service stats easily. And not just that, we will also have all those basic details related to your service events along with the description. So under the container instances here, all the exclusive container instance details such as the status of the instance and the number of running tasks and pending tasks, all those details can be monitored here along with its basic resource utilization information. So this is about our ECS monitor. So let me just quickly move to the next one, that is database. So with the App Manager Database Monitor, here you can monitor all the details mainly due to the database like latency, request throughput, throttling error, and much more to provide the information more about the functioning of RDS and DynamoDB instances. And not just focusing that, we will also be tracking about the AuroraDB attributes like disk IO, network, latency stats, replication details. So all this will be easily will be able to know that what is the current DB status right here. So the next tab that we'll be seeing is AWS ELB. So here we will be focusing on two main things, that is application and network load balancers. So both, by tracking them, you will be able to analyze the traffic patterns and troubleshoot the issues with your load balancers, and which will let you to target your optimized performance. And let me just quickly show you one of the application load balancers. So here, like unlike we see on the other monitors, you have an overview page where you'll be getting to know all the basic details regarding to your load balancer, and followed by the error. Here from the error tab, you can observe the connection error, load balancer errors, and with along with its reason. And for target groups, here you can compare the attributes like which is the healthy and unhealthy one, and also the target latency and its possible error codes. Along with that, all the details will be mentioned along with the status, and you can also compare the reports for each attribute. So here the basic target information can be observed along with its port number, status, and reason. So this is about the application load balancer. So like how we've seen for the application load balancer, the same way we do have a network load balancers, but only the main difference is that we will be focusing on the TCP traffic and what are the million requests that's been done in the low latency that can be easily maintained and observed when it comes to the network load balancer monitor. And in AWS Simple Storage Service Monitor, we will be focusing on the S3 bucket details regarding to the storage, request stats, and along with that, also the virtual folder, number of objects, and from which and from this console, you can even do the admin level actions. Like if you want to delete your particular S3 bucket from this account, all that can be done. And not just that, only monitoring the S3 buckets. With that, you can even compare the reports like I've shown in the before previous one. So all this will be able to be done in the S3 bucket monitor. So Amazon simple notification service monitoring that will help you in achieving the higher delivery rate of notification by monitoring every single elements like a notification, whether if it's been delivered or not, and all those details will be easily monitored, and you have a graphical representation for the same. And the next one comes the SQS, that with this monitor you will be able to know all the vital details like message arrival rate, message processed, and delete counted SQS monitor. So all this will be helpful for you to overcoming the frequently faced problems in your queues, like let's say if it's a jammed queues or slow queues, all can be mitigated by using this SQS monitor. The last one that we have is billing, which is very much important because tracking your usage of your AWS and estimating their cost can be a challenge. But with the application manager, you can easily overcome this, where the app manager lets you to view all the monetary data by proactively monitoring the service in your AWS environment, and it presents in a graphical representation, which will be helpful for you to easily interpret. And we will also be focusing on the main attributes like its expenditure, service, taxes, and you can even set threshold, and if it is any it's gonna reach any threshold, then you will be automatically getting an alert, so that will be helpful for you to switch back and see it again. So this is about our Amazon monitor, so I'll switch back again to the presentation. This is the next we will be seeing on Microsoft Azure monitoring. So Microsoft Azure is an open cloud platform offering services including those for compute, analytics, storage, and networking. Applications Manager offers you deep visibility into your Azure environment, and also it helps in monitoring each performance metrics by using the Azure SDK, and the virtual machines that are running, provisioned, all the subscription along with the details can be automatically discovered. And with the Azure Monitor, you can closely observe the VM status along with the total count and monitor key performance metrics like in your storage account, SQL databases, and service buses. For adding the Azure Monitor, we have three discovery modes, which is first one is AD application and service principal mode. The other one is Azure organizational account using partial, and the other one is OAuth. So based on the method mode you're going to use, the prerequisite part will be differing. If you're using mode 1, that is AD application and service principal, you have to provide the client ID, tenant ID, and application key. If you're using the mode 2, that is a Azure organization account, then you have to provide the user email, password, and all those verified domain name which has been given for your organizational account. And when you're using the OAuth, it makes it simple by where you can use a passwordless tokens for the authorization. So let me just quickly show you the Azure Monitor. So let me just go to the UI. So like how we've observed for Amazon, we will be seeing the same way under the monitors, like under the cloud apps, you will be able to see your Microsoft Azure Monitor present. By choosing it, you will be able to see the monitor. Just a moment. Here we under the overview along with the basic details, you will get an aerial view on the resource utilization, like which kind of resources has been added for this monitor, and all those details can be tracked here. And in the virtual mission, Azure VM Monitor tool ensures that each of this virtual missions are up and there's no any glitches is happening, and it collects the metrics related to memory, disk, CPU, and all this will let you know about the resource utilization and preventing the downtime. And it also increases the latency by tracking your network traffic, and it makes you too easy to pinpoint and eliminate the issues before it causing any significant impact. And for the storage account, due to the multiple capabilities, and the Azure storage has a diverse complexity, and where the app manager makes it very simple for you because by monitoring its performance for such complex step. And for Azure Storage Monitor, it aids in surveilling the KPIs such as blobs, tables, files, queues, and all those details. So let me show you one of the storage account monitor. So here, as I've told you, we'll be focusing on blobs, tables, files, and queues. So on blobs, you'll be able to see or your on details regarding to the capacity information like user data size, blob container count, and all those details can be tracked. And also the throughput or the amount of ingress data and egress data, all those details will be done. And the latency will let you know about the average for your end-to-end latency for successful request main. And if there's any request is failed, you will get to know what could be the possible reason, whether if it's due to the throttling error or timeout error, or if it is due to any other client server error or authorization error. Also along with that, you will also be able to know if it's in a successful request. All those details can be tracked here. So like how we've seen for blobs, like we will be able to see the same kind of an attributes in the tables, files, and as well as for the queues. So all this will let you know about what kind of a storage account and what would be the current states right now. So then the next one that we have is Azure SQL databases. This is a key performance indicator where we will be able to see all the metrics, whether if there's any slow running queries or blocked queries, or if there's any specific queries that has to be given more priority. So by monitoring all this, it will be easy for your DBA team members to easily track and pinpoint if there's any slowness is present. So like I've mentioned, you will get to know about all the queries that has been like top queries that's due to the CPU, IO, and all the weights. And the most important one is that you will be able to see the top slow running queries along with its basic details, like what could be like what is its execution time and what was the description, and all those details can be easily jotted on over here. So like that, we will be also able to see the most blocked queries over here. So this will let you know about all the details, like if there's any slowness, you can even clone that. By knowing all these things, you can take a right action effectively before the end user experiences any slowness. And moving back to the next one, that is Azure Service Buses. So here, let me show you one of the Azure Service Bus. So Azure Service Bus has a rich set of metrics and remains to be a secure platform for data transfer, and which can be displayed and consolidated way for Azure services. And here we have to ensure that there is no error is happening between that queue and data queues and the transfer, so that we'll have an end-to-end hassle-free operation for the business. So here we will be focusing on the tables like queues and topics. Under overview, we'll be getting to know about the namespace details, like the number of queues, topics that has been present. Along with that, the request statics and details will let you know about the details for a request count made to the service bus, and along with the successful request and throttled request. And whereas the request errors will let you know whether the number of requests not processed due to the request errors. Regarding the number of events or messages sent to or received from the service bus can be observed. The message details will show you the total number of messages available in that entity, and if there's any number of active messages or dead letter messages or scheduled message on entity, all those details can be tracked. And connection statistics, like if it's an active connection of on a namespace, or then it's a number of the connections made, all those details can be tracked over here. So, and moving to the next, that is queues. So Azure Service Bus Monitor keeps an eye on the queue size, and you'll get an instant alert when there's a queue value is rises rapidly, and also you will gather the information related to like a queue name, queue status, if it's active, activating, or removed, and the total amount of space allocated for the queue, and remaining amount of the space, and all those details can be tracked. And not just that, we will be able to have a graphical representation of your active queues based on your incoming requests, and you can cross compare it like in based on the messages as well. And the queue metrics will let you know about the number of requests made to the queue over a specified poll interval. And if there's any throttled requests or any incoming messages, outgoing messages, all this can be tracked over here. So similar to the queue, we can have the details related to the topic information, and also we will be letting to know about the subscription that we have, and the count, and the active messages, dead letter messages, all those details can be tracked. And similarly, the graphical representation for your topics based on your incoming request messages can be tracked. And this is about our Azure Service Bus Monitoring. So moving back to the presentation. So now we will be seeing on how we support the Kubernetes container monitoring and how we provide a complete visibility into every component. A famous container orchestration, that is Kubernetes, is an open source system to automate the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized apps. And the key notable advantages of your Kubernetes is that it's highly flexible, and it has a variety of different infrastructure and environment configuration. These containers are basically lightweight by design, so they are easy to be created within seconds, and it is designed to attain high availability, and it is simple deployment where it mounts and adds storage system as needed. And multiple choices for your load balancing and the external traffic to the ports can be achieved. And in case of any issue in your application, Kubernetes can easily roll back, and thereby they will not be causing any major effect. So now let's have a quick view on the Kubernetes architecture along with the basic terminologies. So control plane is a collection of processes that control Kubernetes nodes, and it controls how Kubernetes interact with your application. And Kubernetes node, it manages and runs the pods where it collects entire pods and that function together. Service, it is a logical set of pods which ensures to the outside network that everything appears to be unchanged. Pod is a group of one or more containers deployed to a single node, and it lets to move containers around the cluster more easily. Container is a component within a pod which shares the same resources such as memory and storage. Persistent volume is a piece of storage in a cluster that an admin or a dynamically provisioned using the storage classes. The Kubernetes cluster is a unit that comprises all the above components together. With Applications Manager, Kubernetes monitoring, you have a capability where you can automatically discover the paths and map the relationship between the objects in cluster Kubernetes node, namespace details, and deployment, replica nodes. All this can be tracked. And also you can monitor the Kubernetes cluster stats and identify the faults and their sources with ease, and can gain visibility into the operational data such as the number of resources used, namespaces per cluster, and per pod. and track the capability and the resource utilization of your cluster and drill down into specific parts and cluster. And also you can control the application deployment and update. So speaking of which, let me just quickly show you the one of the Kubernetes monitoring. So here, let me just quickly show you what details would be needed for adding a new monitor. So here under virtualization, you'll be able to see the Kubernetes. Click on to that, and you have to provide all the basic details like if you're having a cluster host name and IP address, provide all those details, and where the Kubernetes is actually running, those cluster details must be provided, and provide the credential for your authentication, and choose this checkbox if you have any public key authentication is needed, so that you have to provide the private key space and all those details. And the other basic details, like if you're having a command prompt value and the port number, all these details has to be provided. And if you wanted to monitor any specific namespace details, then you have to provide the filter condition, whether to be include or exclude, and all those namespace details provided with basic other details like name, timeout value, and polling interval. So once all these details are provided, you would be ready to add your monitor. And let me just show you one of the added Kubernetes monitoring. This is our Kubernetes monitor. Here under the overview, you will be able to see all the resource utilization details and the basic overview details of your namespace, pods, nodes, and the cluster usage details can be observed. And moving to the next, that is node. So initially, we will be able to see all your top 5 nodes by memory details and CPU details. And by monitoring all the CPU from the memory for the Kubernetes, we can see the respective resource that has been, whether if it's over or underutilized. And from node port details, you will be able to see all the node details, and we can effectively make decisions when defining the number of instances in the node for each pod, and including the backup instances. So here you can see all the node details, whether like what kind of OS, architecture type, and all those basic information can be tracked in a single view over here. And the next one comes the pods. So here, like how we've seen for the nodes, here we will be focusing on the desired pods and in the deployment and running. And also if it is in any restart loop or any such cases, we will be able to track it. And as seen in the nodes, we can also see all the top 10 nodes, top 10 pods by it's based on its memory details or based on the CPU details. Along with that, we will be able to see the cluster related information. And the containers here you can closely track, and we would identify the container restart counts, which helps in finding the issue with the containers or it host that could affect the performances. So the next one comes the services. So here we will be focusing on the service and the deployment in the Kubernetes. And in the Kubernetes, the service is responsible by enabling the network access to set pods, whereas deployment is responsible for keeping a set of pods running. And using Applications Manager, we can oversee the services to guarantee that deployed applications are always running optimally. As the deployment runs multiple replicas in the application, which can be tracked in the deployment replica count and available replica count, along with its availability status. And in the persistent volume, we will be monitoring all the volume storage details that the pod consume, and we'll grant exclusive usage to the pod details. So this is about our Kubernetes monitor. So let me just swipe back again to the PPT. So here, the next important topic that is we will be seeing, that is Microsoft Team monitoring. So Microsoft Team is a famous chat-based collaboration platform which enables the platform employees and teams to efficiently connect and collaborate through chat, calls, video conferencing, and facilitates the shared access to documents, notes, and calendar. And works well with several Microsoft 365 services to provide user with great experience. MS Team usage has been drastically increased after the COVID-19 pandemic due to its ease of access. So team is designed to bring together a group of people who work closely to get things done, and it involves several different areas. The key term involved in MS Team is channels. which are dedicated sections within a team to keep conversation organized. And here the channels include the tabs, connectors, and bots. And that the member of the team with the respective channels, the conversational files, notes, and across the team channels, it will be easily visible for you. So when applications manager, you can track the number of members and the channels of your team in your organization, and you can get the complete information of your usage statistics based on the various devices and active activity types. Thereby, you can ensure the peak performance and hassle-free business process collaboration. And to set up the MS Team monitor, you have to make sure that the performance monitor, you need to install your MS Team PowerShell module and also grant certain API permissions to enable the service health monitoring. App Manager helps you to identify the bottleneck by constantly monitoring the service health of the MS team, and it also lets you to track all the team members and channels in your organization, and it displays in a single dashboard. You can proactively detect the connection lags in the service by identifying the increased response time of the endpoint by tracking the KPI and better understanding on of how well your service is performing. Also, insightful report can be generated on demand and scheduled to be emailed, and that can be exported based on your requirement. So let me just show you one of our added MS Team monitor. So likewise, under the monitors, you can see all the list of monitors that's been added. So here we have other MS Teams Microsoft monitors as well. So let me just show you on the MS Teams monitor. So on MS Teams monitor here, you will be easily able to identify if there's any issue like with the count of, if there's any issue with the tenant count or any details that can be tracked. So this is our overview tab. Here we will be focusing on the MS Teams service health and endpoint connectivity. And here under the service health, you will be able to know about your user count, if there's any affected user count. So this will highly helpful for you to track the performance. And not just that, you can even perform the actions like you can choose the any particular service feature, you can enable it, disable it, or even delete it, and you can cross compare it with the reports with for certain attributes. Whereas the endpoint connectivity here, it will like let you know about configuration, it will let you know the status attribute and ensure the uninterrupted functioning of your service. And by observing the response time, you can get to know if there's any connection lag in the service. And the next one is teams and channel. Teams are the group of people brought together for work and project or common interest, whereas channel are collaboration spaces where you hold your meetings, have conversation, and work on files together. Using our product, we will be able to monitor the KPIs about the member, channels, and the teams in your organization at the single glance. And when it comes to the here, you can see about all your team details, like along with the channel count, member count. So whatever details regarding to the teams and the channel that can be observed over here. And the next one comes is the usage. Here in the usage, we can get the complete information on your usage statistics based on your various devices, and you can visualize the usage information metrics such as number of user per device and activity per count per activity type. And also you can schedule the reports in such a way you can get to know, analyze the trends and how your user has been opting it, and understand the user choice of activity based on its based on the device type or the activity type. So this is about our MS Team monitor. So let me just switch back to the UI, to the PPT. So coming to our final topic of the series, which is will be our cloud capacity planning analytics, where will be highly helpful for you when you're planning for your cloud resource for real-time dynamic requirement. Our product has different reports in order to achieve this requirement. Now let me show you one by one. The first and foremost one, which is forecast report, as the name suggests, this report offers you in analyzing the performance and predict the future behavior depending on the observed data trend. This report basically works on machine learning, and it has a certain types which will be helpful for you to analyze the growth patterns. Let me show you in the UI. So for seeing any kind of reports, just click on to reports tab that we have here, and you'll have the list of reports that we have. And here let me just show you the forecast report. forecast report, you have to choose the monitor type that you're willing to look for. Any of the monitor types that you wanted, you can just click on to that, and you will be having a list of option over here. So by checking on your forecast reports, you will be able to know whether if that particular one is going to be oversized or undersized. Here by forecast by growth, here I'll let you get to know where you can compare it for next 3 months or 4 months, and get to know whether it's going to be a high peak or not. And where it comes to the forecast by utilization, this will be highly helpful, because if it reaches anywhere about 80 to 90 or 90 to 100, you can take you will get an automated alert by configuring it, and that will let you know take all the automatic actions. And for you can even compare it with the days that we have option, and it is also available in certain CSPO formats as well. You can compare it for certain monitors that you have into the monitor category. So this is about the forecast report. Let me switch back to the presentation. So the next important one is the second report that you're going to discuss is trend analysis report. Here it gives you a precise view on the performance of your attributes or resources for different interval. The downtime history is primarily an availability report that lets you know about the downtime or uptime chart for across all time period. Summary report gives you a gist of all overall statistics. At a glance report basically gives you a bird's eye view for all the performance for your monitor so far. And we have a unique kind of report in our product, which is a 7 bar 30 report, which provides you to give your detail based on your week or a month. Again, we have a multiple subdivisions here, like this history report, and here you'll know about the amount of resources that's been utilized by the particular attribute. And the hour of average report, which exposes various bottlenecks of your attributes or resources in the hour of day report. And a week of day report, here it will generate the average of particular time, and it aids you in troubleshooting the same. Statistical report will let you know about the standard deviation in the attribute for your period of time, and this will also helpful for you to relocate or organize the resources. And going to the heat report, thus it is basically a threshold based report, which will be useful for you to compare like similar type of monitors and check their performance easily. So let me just show you the UI. So here on the trend analysis report, you can choose which kind of a monitor that you are looking for. Any of the monitor. Let me just randomly check one. Okay, I'm in an at a glance report. You are supposed to be like you could be looking all the details, basic details over here, and it'll let you know about the attributes and basic details. And when it comes to the summary report, it gives you a glimpse of all the details regarding to your monitor details. And the downtime report history report will be very much helpful for you, because if the particular server or application or services has been down for a while, that can be easily tracked, and you can provide all the information related to that. And when it comes to any kind of an information attribute or the particular attribute related information can be tracked. And moving to the next one. So here comes the capacity planning report that is very much helpful for you to plan in the future, that will track mainly the resource metrics related to your CPU, memory, and disk utilization. It will let you to plan effective usage of your resource and focus on minimizing the resource wastage. And also it will be helpful for you to like focus on the right size, so that the workloads running can be sufficient for your resource capacity. So moving to the presentation, and here you can see capacity planning. So we have a various list of things where you can choose any of them, and based on that you will be able to see. And we have a three categories, that is undersized, oversized, and idle sized. So you can choose any of them. And once after choosing this, you have to provide the particular threshold like which would be there, and you will be able to see all the monitors. Here there's a particular threshold, like if it is more than 50 percentage, then you're supposed to say in such case. And you can even customize it, and if you wanted to disable any kind of like let's say I don't want memory, but I just wanted to know about the disk on CPU, then you can just disable that and even add that. So once you've saved it, you will be able to see all the details. regarding to your undersized. So similarly for undersized, you can do the same for your idle and oversized as well. So this will be helpful for downsizing or correctly sizing the particular servers or services. Let me just quickly give you a recap for what we have seen so far. And we have examined on how we can monitor various AWS and Azure services and Kubernetes performance, and how we can optimize it and see all the KPIs in a single console. And we went through all the MS Team components and how we can track it in an organizational way. And also we observed on various report options that which can be helpful for us for better planning of our cloud performance. So this is about the training that we had. And inform you that we have a dedicated YouTube channel that you can check on for short videos or regarding our product. To get started with the applications manager, we have help documents for your reference, and also we have a technical community where you can discuss different FAQs, and you can contact us over mail, call, or even chats that we've mentioned here. With that being said, I would like to thank you all for who has made up to the end of this webinar, and have a good one.